I'll call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Brawley City Council and successor agency to Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. This is our regular meeting agenda for Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. It's 6 p.m. and we're in City Council chambers and in our individual homes and offices by Zoom. The roll call.
The minutes will reflect all council members present.
Thank you, Alma. Okay, we'll come to item 2, public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on.
Mr. Mayor, if I could interrupt, I'm sorry. There's the approval of the agenda first, please.
Oh, I apologize. So we'll call for an approval of the agenda.
I'll make the motion. Donnie Wharton.
Sam.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, now we'll move on to item 2. Public comments. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that's within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. And to maintain social distancing, physical presence is strongly discouraged. Alternative methods of participation are encouraged, and should a member of the public wish to provide public comments, please submit written comments via email to abenavides@brawley-ca.gov or contact the city clerk's office at 760-351-3080. The deadline to submit comments is 2 p.m. On the day of our council meetings, the first and third Tuesdays of the month. But we do have a few people present in chambers to offer some comments.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Katie Luno at the Brawley Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to provide you with a few updates tonight and a couple comments. So 3 items. The first item is that the Brawley Chamber of Commerce, as you may know, has been working as the coordinator for the Imperial Valley Business Recovery Task Force. And throughout this past year, 2020 and into 2021, we have partnered with the local health authority to bring a 2021 COVID labor law webinar. And there's some flyers here, and I'll be sure to email those over to you as well so you can see those. But we are covering the AB 685, SB 1159 that went into effect January 1st, and essentially puts the burden on the employer for COVID cases in the workplace, and the employer has a lot of responsibilities. And so now with the new legislation, we want to prepare our local businesses for proper reporting and contact tracing. And so we have this program. We're going to be running this program through June, potentially. Our goal is to hit 500 businesses valley-wide. We had our first workshop Tuesday, December 29th with about 76 participants. We have one this Thursday, January 7th, and then January 21st, and then another flyer will come out with further dates. But we encourage you to attend and to learn about the new legislation and how you can protect your businesses. Participating businesses will receive complimentary labor law posters, access to designated testing times in coordination with the Imperial County Public Health Department, a box of masks, sanitizers, and access to contact tracing technology. So we'll give a $25 discount for implementing contact tracing technology within the workplace. So that is what we are working on currently, in addition to some other things. I wanted to also, the second item I wanted to talk to you about tonight is in regards to the chamber regionalization that you may or may not have read about in the paper or have heard about in the community. And so I wanted to just let you know that the Brawley Chamber of Commerce is not participating in the regionalization effort that is happening due to financial concerns that we had with the potential new entity. We are going to continue operating as the Brawley Chamber of Commerce. We are, praise God, thankfully financially sound, doing well, stronger than been in quite some time. We did bring on a chief operating officer, Maria Flores, who is handling our special programs and membership. So we are doing well at the chamber. And then the last item I wanted to just make some comments on and forgive me, I don't believe it's on the agenda, but if it is, just stop me and I'll wait. But is in regards to comments that were made reflecting on one of our members who has a pop-up restaurant in the park, and it's Mr. Sanchez, who has the hot dog cart, Flash Dogs. Very good food, by the way. I highly recommend it. Mr. Sanchez has worked very diligently to make sure that he's compliant with the health department, with city requirements, and we've really appreciated his efforts to go above and beyond to keep the park clean, to keep the park inviting. Was disappointed to hear some of the comments at the last meeting with the concern. Again, from the chamber standpoint, we want to encourage those tax revenue generating businesses in the downtown. And so we look forward to positive discussion in the future with regard to his business. And I know Mr. Sanchez has some comments as well. So we'll be listening for that, and we'll be happy to have dialogue with any council members in regard to that topic. Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
Hello, my name is Mark Sanchez. I am born and raised here in Brawley, owner and operator of Flash Dogs. I give all credit to this to God, that I'm able to be the owner and operator of that business. I'm just here to answer a few questions in case I heard the meeting last a couple weeks ago, and there were some comments made that were a little inaccurate, and I know you guys had some questions. So that's really my only purpose here right now, is to clarify. If you guys have any questions afterwards, I'm more than happy to take your calls, or even right now. One of the comments were that I have a permanent structure, and some of you may know and some may not. I don't know what you guys know, but this is a structure that we are setting up and breaking down every single day. It takes about 15 minutes to set up, 15 minutes to break down. So it's really our cart with our supplies and 2 tables. That's all we currently have. We had some tables. I'll speak on that in a minute. Restrooms. We do have restrooms as per the health department requirement. We need to have restrooms available within 200 feet for our employees. We have the big, the barber shop across the street. We actually have a key that we're able to go in at any time, whether they're open or not. We have access to that for our employees. We also got Monarch, the photography studio. They also allowed us and signed a form that has been delivered to the health department prior to us opening. We were only required to have 1, but we have 2. We have also, we have good relationships with the restaurants around us. Inferno actually allows us to come in anytime to use the restrooms, and the donut shop Raspados really close to us. So bathrooms is not even remotely an issue for our employees. Tables and chairs. When I first started, the previous manager, Rosanna, she had accepted the use of tables and chairs, but then there was some sort of issue, so it kind of went by the wayside, and the current city manager, Mr. Salcido, we spoke about this, and we came to an agreement where he said that I would be able to use 1 table with chairs. And in 1 month's time, if I did a good job and there weren't complaints and we left the area clean, he would allow us to have a maximum of a 2nd table. A month went by, and he congratulated us on having a good clean park. So he allowed us to have the 2nd table. Once COVID hit, this last wave of restrictions, he asked us if we could remove the tables. We gladly did so. We're in the habit of trying to work with any of you guys to try to keep everybody happy and in accordance with regulations. That's what we're here for. We actually have that park clean. I have found in that park drugs, styrofoam cups, paper plates, bags, boxes, and I always go and I clean it up before we start. And as soon as we leave, we actually have some big lights, and we move around. We don't leave any mess there. We actually believe that we clean it up better than it was when we started. My last question or comment here is, I know there was comments on the damage to the park. There's actually 0 damage to the park other than a patch of grass that has been stepped on. It's I would say about 6 feet, maybe 6 by 10, just where we walk around to serve the community. I know that part of the reason that happened is because the park was being overwatered. And I know I brought that to Mr. Salcido's attention. Now it's doing excellent. I appreciate that. But the park is being used now. There is no damage. We actually don't drive any vehicles on the park. We pull the cart in. It has tires, but it's not very heavy. There isn't damage to a sprinkler, any trash. We do very good job to try to keep everything clean for the city because we want to keep Brawley safe. And clean. We're from Brawley. My daughter's here from Brawley. All my employees that I have are from Brawley. I employ people. People love our food. We have followed health standards. We pay sales tax. We have a $2 million policy as per Brawley to indemnify you guys of any liability. So we're trying, and we have a responsibility to Brawley, to ourselves, and to God to maintain good standards here. And I appreciate the help, any help that you guys can give us. If you guys have any questions, I'll take some questions now, or if you guys want to give me a call, I know Mr. Salcido has my phone number. And does anybody have any questions?
Anyone from council? Nope. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Council members. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
321 Boswell Court, Ronald Gray. I'm sure we're all aware of the fireworks issue. I'll be glad to hear what you guys have in mind on what we can do about the fireworks, because it is becoming a problem, not just in my area, but all over the town. So I'll be interested to hear what you guys have in mind. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
All over the valley.
Yeah, it's all over the valley. It's not just Brawley, but I did have a friend say that as they drove into Brawley at midnight on New Year's Eve, that it was just all over town. Just an awesome.
It was beautiful. It was a beautiful celebration.
So, and I think would be more understanding of that and gracious toward that if it were just, New Year's Eve and 4th of July. But when it's, from the middle of June till, all the way through New Year's and beyond, I don't get that. I don't understand that mentality. But I mean, I like a good fireworks show as much as anyone else does, but it becomes a nuisance throughout the year. And that's the kind of stuff that we have to do whatever we can to crack down on it. We have increased the fine for, if someone is caught setting off illegal fireworks. But of course, it takes being caught red-handed in order to enforce that. So I think, it's something that we're definitely discussing. Sounds like Mayor Pro Tem Couchman had some ideas, some technology-related ideas for tracking that kind of activity. But yeah, it has become, we were complaining about this, we've complained about it for the last 3 years since I've been on council, and each year it seems to get a little worse depending on what holiday it is. But I think this is the first year that I've just heard them almost every night, for most of this year. So I don't know if people are bored because of, the lockdown, if people have extra stimulus money and they're going across the border, to Arizona or to Mexico and buying these fireworks or what. But yeah. Anyone else in chambers? Okay, we got one more comment, looks like.
My name is Patrick Laterio. I'm here today because I sent emails and I made phone calls to every one of you guys on the city council. No, with the exception of Mr. Ramon Castro, nobody returned my emails. Nobody returned my phone calls. I understand you guys are busy with fireworks and hot dogs and other things like that. But all I'm asking for is for some guidance. And I know it's too early for myself. I'm a business guy. Too early for myself to feel frustrated or feel disappointed because I don't know much, okay? I'm not even from Brawley. I'm not from here. I've been out here for 6 years. I voted for every single one of you guys on the board. And on your website, I was referred to you guys by Ben Wessel's office, which is a senator in San Diego, 40th district. And he said, go to your city council, ask for their guidance. And that's what I did. So I'm trying to do the right thing. I would appreciate some sort of feedback. Like I said, I voted for every single one of you guys. I have a problem with one of the city agencies with communication. If I'm hoping, that's why I'm here today. I'm hoping that there's some sort of guidance given. I don't have time to you know, do a lot of things, but you know, this is important to me. I just hope that I get some sort of communication from you guys. The only guy that, like I said, the only guy that did communicate with me was Ramon Castro, and I appreciated that. So that, you know, to me, that means a lot when, you know, you guys are charged with taking care of the interests of your constituents. The new guy responds and nobody else does. I mean, so I'm hoping that somebody reaches out to me on my issue, send an email, made phone calls. Here I am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming in, Patrick. We've had issues before where, you know, people will email or call, and often the most effective response that you can get is by coming in to a council meeting. And so I apologize that it's taken that, but often that is, you know, where you are heard the best. And we've had, since our new city manager has come on, we've had people come into council chambers and make a complaint about a legitimate issue. And that's given us the opportunity to address those issues head on and actually make some changes to things that have been done that way for years. And so I appreciate you coming in, and we'll talk with the city manager afterwards and get to the root of your issue and see what we can do to help you out. So thank you.
No.
Did we have any email communication or comments?
Oh, Mayor, no phone calls or emails.
Okay. All right, then.
Just one point I would like to make, Mayor Hamby, with the previous speaker. I did see his email, and just because he didn't receive a response doesn't mean the issue isn't being addressed. So that was obviously forwarded to the proper people that he was trying to address the issue to, and it looks like that's in process of being worked on. So just a point of correction there.
Okay, thank you. Before we move on to item 3, I do want to welcome aboard our new police chief, Jimmy Duran. It's good to have him on board, and we certainly look for good things to happen in the coming years. We have a good police department, and we've been in kind of transition for the last couple of years, really, within that department. But every leader that's come through that department in an interim position or short-term chiefs have said, you know, we have a great department. They've all said we have good men and women on that department. So we're grateful to our PD, and we're thankful to have Chief Duran on board now. Let's move on to item 3, the consent agenda. Items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So approved. So moved.
Yes.
Sam. Second. Ramon.
Okay. Got a motion by Couchman and a second by Ramon Castro. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? All right. Consent agenda carries. Moving on to item 4, regular business. 4A is an update on City of Brawley declaration of local emergency as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. This will be the overall outlook presented by Fire Chief Mike York.
Good evening, Mayor Hamby, members of the council and city staff. Is my audio correct?
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll begin as usual with our local and regional case counts. Beginning for the Imperial County, we have tested a total of 108,954 individuals in our county since the beginning of the pandemic in March, or the beginning of the response. We've had a total negative case count of 85,504. We've had a total positive count of 22,907. And as you may recall, that the case count spiked as of our last city council update. As of today, we have an active case count of 1,552, which is actually quite a decrease from our previous spike back on the 15th of December. We're about 1,000 active cases down. Good news. Within our hospitals, we currently have 170 persons hospitalized due to COVID, 60 of which is in our ICU. Both hospitals report daily. We have one ICU bed available for our entire county. We're utilizing just under 70% of our surge capacity and just under 70% of our total ventilators available. We have 98 persons on ventilators in our county. We have recorded in our county 434 deaths, which is a marked increase in the last several weeks. Within the 92227 zip code, we currently have a case count of 3,468 and have recorded 54 deaths. The good news is we have a recorded case count of recovered personnel of 20,921, which is excellent news. One of the newer metrics on the Imperial County website is a daily positive case count, which, as shared at last council meeting, peaked on the 10th of December at 453 new cases per day. Our last update was on the 2nd of January, and we have kind of returned back to normal, I would say, at 56 new cases per day. So we're trending down on our new cases per day, which is good news. Anticipated that we're going to see another spike, especially with two very close holidays being Christmas and New Year's, and a lot of the traffic that we saw. Our neighbors to the east in Yuma County with a similar population, their numbers are similar as well. They've tested 116,807 persons. They've confirmed just under 30,000 positives, and unfortunately, Yuma County has recorded 543 deaths. Neighbors to the south in Mexicali, from their website, no total tested is available. However, they've recorded 14,131 positive. They've recorded 2,229 deaths, and as of today, they have 292 active cases in their hospitals and outside of quarantine. Excuse me. Blueprint for a Safer Economy are metrics that are based on case count per 100,000 and our positivity rate of persons tested. As always, there's a disparity between the Imperial County local metrics and the state metrics based on delay in reporting, and the way they count cases is particularly prison inmates are not counted in their state positivity rates. Imperial County is showing 59.48 per 100,000 case count, which is a significant drop. We were in the hundreds last report, and we're recording a 35.95% positivity rate, also a drop from our last report. The state metrics are showing 34.9 per 100,000 and a 20.3% positivity rate. We're well into the widespread. Just as a reminder, to achieve the next highest tier of substantial, we need to get down below 7 or below 100 per 100,000, and we need to get below 8% positivity rate. So we were very close back in August, September, and unfortunately, we've moved farther away from that goal. Unfortunately, I don't have any update from our Brawley testing site. That data was not available in time for making the report to council. The alternative care site at IVC currently has a census of 29. That facility is prepared to receive up to 50 patients. As you guys may be aware, or as the public may be aware, both hospitals, obviously with their case counts and the ICU usage, their reporting transfers out of county have been delayed as out of county hospitals are reaching their surge capacities. It's very difficult to transfer patients out. There seems to have been a resolution, but we did have some reports of increased what we call wall times. That's when a ambulance picks up a patient, and before they can drop them off at the hospital, they have to give the patient to the hospital staff, who has to receive a report and find a bed. And a wall time is what we call the time that the ambulance waits outside of the hospital, unable to offload their patients. It seems like that was a concern last week. It looks like both hospitals have made some improvements on that. But we are seeing some significant delays when it comes to moving patients into the hospital and moving patients out of the county, just because the hospitals are inundated with patients, really. Back home, Brawley Fire EMS response. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we've recorded 246 calls for service that were COVID related. Another additional 120 calls that were confirmed as COVID positive. That was an incredible uptick, as we just finished out a calendar year, I report that the Brawley Fire Department for the calendar year 2020 responded to 2,816 incidents, which is our record year for incidents by far. Our two prior highest years were calendar year 2019 and 2016. We responded to 2,407 calls, 2,442 calls. So almost 400 calls increase in a single year, incredibly significant. I'm happy to report that last week we were able to receive some of the Brawley Fire Department personnel were able to receive some of the first rounds of the COVID-19 vaccine. We had 12 members of our department inoculated. There's going to be a follow-up at the end of this month for their second dose, and we're anticipating another allotment so that we can get the remaining staff that's willing to participate in the program their first dose sometime this month. And of course, we're in communication with the Imperial County Department of Public Health to facilitate getting vaccinations for other frontline and first responders aside from the EMTs in the fire department. We're looking at police officers, I believe, are in the next tier, and then of course other frontline personnel. And we're also speaking with the Imperial County Department of Public Health for providing locations for more widespread vaccination, obviously looking towards the goal of providing those for the public. And the two locations we're looking at are the Lions Center for either drive-through or walk-up, walk-in, and Fire Station number 2 for a drive-through facility. As always, we're working and communicating with our local, state, and federal partners to coordinate and provide response and our PPE needs. Is there any questions?
Mr. Mayor, Chief York, have we been asked to assist with the administration beyond the facility? Actually, our clinically credentialed personnel to actually administer, do you know?
So 2 of our staff were trained in providing the vaccinations. The goal that was stated in that training was actually more of keeping in-house. However, there is a pilot program that's going to allow paramedics, and I believe they're looking at advanced EMTs as well, to be able to provide the vaccines if those personnel are available. If that program is picked up and implemented, we will be looking at our personnel that are willing and available to participate. We have on our staff 3 paramedics and a number of advanced EMTs.
And Chief, this is at a later date, but obviously being mindful, the question is, will there be reimbursement, either CARES Act dollars or additional dollars that would cover that staff time? Because I do believe we should do certainly what we can, but just if you can keep us posted on that part of it as well.
And I believe that'll be part of the discussions as we move forward. Before we can provide those locations, there will be an MOU between the city and the county for those location operations.
Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Tyler, did you have something to add to that? Or?
No, Chief York covered it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chief, for that update.
You're welcome.
All right, moving on to item 4B, discussion and potential action re mayoral appointment of city council members to boards, commissions, and committees for 2021. Backup is in pages 30 to 32. Councilmember Nava has requested that he maintain the committees and boards that he's on currently. We can go through these one at a time and just make sure everybody's got what they want, or even some that they don't want. No one else.
Mr. Mayor, I would, just to keep it easy, I'd like to pretty much stay the same, with the exception of if there's some interest again from other council members. I'm always open to that too. But just from my side of it, same thing. I'd like to remain on the same ones. I think there's a vacancy for California League of Cities. I've been I think I'm the kind of the backup, the assistant delegate. In the past, I've been the representative, and as you all know, I've been pretty involved there in the past. So I'm more than willing to take our former mayor Kastner Hadigi's position, just flip flop that around if that helps. So that's my input for me. Everything the same except that. And if someone wants to jockey for something else, just let me know. That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I am at your mercy, obviously being the new guy, as Mr. Alterio stated earlier. One that does pique my interest, and this came from watching Councilman Nava all those years, was the Film Commission. If no one else wants it, I would gladly love to join that. And then besides that, I mean, whatever you have for me, I'll take it.
All right, that sounds good. Mayor Pro Tem Couchman, did you have?
I'll stay with the ones that I have unless someone has an interest in doing something differently. Okay. We do have to fill Kastner Hadigi's, and we may want to each one of us take some of those, but I think Ramon will need some of those also. The only thing I have to say, though, on the one that I am involved with, Imperial County Community and Economic Development, I think there's some work I have to do on that one, or the city has to do in order to reappoint us to that. And I think there was something that came around in an email. I haven't followed up on it, but I do need to do that. So I'll be happy to do that.
Mayor Pro Tem Couchman, this is George. I believe this process will resolve that issue. I believe it will.
I think we needed to wait for this process to resolve the issue. And then, yes, I think you're right. It will resolve.
Okay. So off the bat, the ones that we need to get people for, because we don't have the original people anymore, are the alternate for the Brawley Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. This is it's just an informational position. We go provide an update, and that's about it. Receive a little bit of information back from the chamber. Mr. Castro, are you okay being the alternate on that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Their next meeting is the last Monday of this month, and so it's a Zoom meeting. So I'll probably ask you to come along to that so that we can introduce you there. The Imperial County Air Pollution District, Mayor Pro Tem Couchman is the delegate for that. Mr. Castro, would you like to be the alternate for that? Okay.
It also does not meet on a regular basis. It happens right? About a quarter or so. And I've been able to make all the meetings at this point in time. If there wasn't a need for alternate, you could certainly fill in.
Okay. The Imperial County Emergency Food and Shelter Program. Those are meetings as notified. Former Mayor Kastner Howdigi was the delegate for that. Mr. Castro, would you like to be the delegate? Okay.
Yes, sir.
And then you've already picked the Imperial County Film Commission. I'm the alternate for that. What remains the same is ICTC, the Imperial County Local Transportation Authority, and the Imperial County Service Authority for Freeway Emergencies. Those are all delegates. Councilmember Nava and alternate Councilmember Wharton. Okay. The League of California Cities, Councilmember Wharton has asked to be the delegate for that. We need an alternate. That is Councilmember Wharton, those are just the annual meetings. Is there a once annual meeting that happens at the conference that you?
Correct, and I've been pretty good about attending the annual meeting, and that's where you cast the vote for the city as the delegate. But if not, obviously I will say in the past, Norma Kastner-Hodege was my backup. So yes, that's where that. Other than that, I think we all attend the quarterly division level stuff. So.
And I don't think that we're going to be meeting this year.
No, it doesn't look.
Yeah, most everything's going to be via Zoom,
virtual again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'm perfectly I'm comfortable filling in any vacancies left by the former Mayor Kastner-Hodege.
Okay, then we will.
Feel free to just
as the alternate
plug me in.
League of California Cities. NOCA, the North County Coalition for the Arts. Currently, the delegate is Councilmember Couchman. I have been on the board of NOCA, but I actually recently resigned from that. So I can either be a backup for that, Sam, or if you prefer to swap and you want me to attend the meetings as the liaison, I can do that. But whatever you like to do there.
It's up to you. I'd like you to be there, though, I think, for those meetings, because you are involved so much in the arts. It might be a good idea for you to either remain the alternate or become the alternate, or else I can swap with you and I can become the alternate. It doesn't matter to me, but
all right.
But it's important that you're there at those meetings.
Yeah. Okay. Let's I'll step in as the alternate then, and if you can't make, I'll go. The economic development, we've already said that's going to remain the same. The CJPIA stays the same with Nava and Wharton. The Association of California Cities allied with prisons, that's currently the delegate is Councilmember Nava, and we need an alternate for that. Mr. Castro, would you like to take that?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then we have LAFCO. Now there is going to be they are looking for delegates for that. From what I understand, that's one council member from all of the cities. I don't mean from each city. I just mean they'll from out of all the cities, they'll pick one council member and one alternate. We are meeting this week as mayors to pick a delegate for that. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, but are there any council members here that would like to be on LAFCO as a candidate?
You know, LAFCO is an important agency, and you know they make important decisions. But unfortunately I can't make that commitment with time. But certainly, you know, just know that it's an important role for anybody wishing to do it.
Okay. Mr. Castro. Okay. All right. So I think what I'll do is if they're asking for delegates or candidates from Brawley, I'll forward Mr. Castro's name as the delegate, and I will be available as an alternate. Okay. We've got the Airport Advisory Commission staying the same with Wharton and Couchman. The Imperial Valley Housing Authority, from what I understand, hasn't met in a while, but supposedly meets the second Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. Former Mayor Kastner-Hodege was the liaison there. Mr. Castro, would you like to take that position? Okay. And
absolutely.
Mr. Wharton, you're the alternate on that. You're okay staying that? Okay. Then the Library Board of Trustees currently is myself and as the delegate, and Mr. Couchman is the alternate. The Parks and Rec Advisory Commission, the alternate, I'm the delegate for that. The alternate was Mayor Kastner-Hodege. Mr. Castro, would you like to take that as the alternate for Parks and Rec?
Yes, sir.
And the Planning Commission, same thing. I'm the delegate for, or the liaison for Planning Commission, and you're okay being the alternate for that, Mr. Castro? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. That wraps
If that does pose a problem for you, Ramon, and you've been put on quite a few starting out, if it does, I'll be happy to take one of those positions if you run into any kind of issues with it. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
the alternate if we need one.
Right.
Okay, so that wraps that up. Hopefully that was clear, Alma, all of those different appointments. We will move on to item 4C, discussion and potential action to approve first reading of ordinance number 2021- Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, establishing city policy concerning sidewalks, sidewalk right-of-way, and alleys. This will be presented by our City Attorney, Bill Smurden. Backup is on pages 33 through 39. Mr. Smurden. Bill, can you hear me? We are on item 4C. This is the first reading of the ordinance regarding sidewalks and right-of-ways.
This is essentially the same draft ordinance that was presented at the last council meeting. Guillermo went through it and tightened up some of the definitions a little bit, but substantively it's exactly the same. So if the council's of a mind to approve it, the proper motion to make would be a motion to approve the first reading by reading the caption only. So you don't read the entire ordinance, you just read the caption.
Okay. Is there any discussion from council on this particular ordinance?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I think it's going to be vitally important that we get the information out to the public, especially regarding damage or destruction to landscape, hardscape, irrigation systems that have been placed in the city's right-of-way in the event the city undertakes a sidewalk project. I think it's important to get that information out to the public early and get it out to them now when if we do succeed and this goes through, because I think they need to know that up front and not get it when we're tearing out their irrigation system or something of that type, because then they get angry and they're probably going to be somewhat upset with us anyway. But if we at least tell them in advance, this is what may happen, at least they'll have that information available to them. I think it will be an easier pill to swallow from everybody's standpoint, if that's possible. I just think we need to be aware of that and maybe get an educational thing out, maybe put some of that information and maybe the thing that goes out with utility billing, or make sure it gets on the website, all of that. I think it will be, but I think people tend to not see those things unless they're emphasized.
Right.
Okay.
And also it seems like it would be prudent, when there is going to be a project undertaken in a particular neighborhood, that the residents or business owners in that area are informed ahead of time. And I think Public Works has been pretty good about that, especially recently, going door to door and letting people know what the process is going to be. So communication is key, but yeah, I agree that it's going to be important to get the word out on something like that, because there is going to be some ire from the public on something like this. Okay, so having read the item itself, Bill, do I need to read this, the city manager recommendation, or just the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, establishing city policy concerning sidewalks, sidewalk right-of-way, and alleys?
That's all you have to need. All you have to read, just what you read right there.
Okay.
And so the motion would be to approve the first reading by reading the caption only.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading?
So moved. This is Sam.
Okay.
Second, Donnie.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This is George, aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Moved by Sam Couchman, seconded by Donnie Wharton, and all in favor. Okay, moving on to item 4D, discussion and potential action to approve first reading of ordinance number 2021- ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, adopting a formal personnel system. This will be presented by Shirley Bonillas, our Personnel and Risk Management Administrator. Backup is on pages 40 through 46. Good evening, Shirley.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, staff. Shirley Bonillas, Personnel and Risk Management. Hopefully I'm coming through just fine. What you have in front of you is a foundation for our personnel system. We currently cannot find a document in the Muni Code that actually established the personnel system with the City of Brawley. This document will do exactly that. It doesn't change anything that we're currently practicing. What would come to you in the future is resolutions defining more of the sick leave, the vacation policy, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the foundation of the competitive service and how we conduct business within the City of Brawley's personnel system. The one change that we're proposing within this ordinance is that any newly created positions, that means not vacant positions that we're filling, but if we create a new position, the library manager, the Parks and Rec manager, those positions, if designated at the time of the position opening, is designated as not being part of the competitive service, not having property rights. This is the ordinance that enables us to do that. It also clearly defines which positions are at will. We currently don't have that defined very well in the current Muni Code. So this is the document that will start, and then my work will continue with bringing resolutions to this body to approve, to give comments on, et cetera, and to finally, hopefully, put in and clean up all the foundational work we need to do for our personnel handbook.
Okay. Thank you, Shirley. So this is the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, adopting a formal personnel system.
Correct.
Have a motion to approve this first reading.
This is George. I'll make a motion to approve the item.
Okay, and a second.
This is Ramon, second.
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? All right. Motion by George Nava, seconded by Ramon Castro, and all in favor. We'll move on to item 4E, discussion and potential action to adopt resolution number 2021- resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California to comply with CalPERS exception to the 180-day wait period, GC section 7522.56 and 21224H. This is also presented by Shirley Bonillas, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator. Backup is in pages 47 through 49. Take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. This will enable us to bring a retired member of Marjo Mello back into the workplace prior to the mandated 6-month waiting period between time of retirement to the time you can work for any CalPERS agency. If the City Council so desires that we can access her services prior to those 6 months, this document needs to be passed by council, submitted to CalPERS, and CalPERS will give me the go-ahead that we can bring her back. The concerns that we have at this point, since we don't have the library manager position filled at this time, and we do have an interim in place with Chris Carter, is that we have LAMS grant that we need a quarterly report from, and we will need to resubmit for the grant to continue the LAMS project. And she's also, of course, with 30-some years of knowledge, Marjo's brain needs to be accessed, and this will enable the city to do exactly that and compensate her for those times that she assists us.
As a consultant. Okay.
And as an as-needed basis, it wouldn't be regular skids, just as a need. And especially the LAMS that is due on the 15th, LAMS quarterly report. She's a very valuable asset for that until she trains somebody up.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so This is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, to comply with CalPERS exception to the 180-day wait period, UC Section 7522.56 and 21224H. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading? Or is this?
I make the motion. This is Sam.
Okay, so
yeah, I don't think it's a reading, Mr. Mayor, right? It's just a resolution. So I'll second that. This is Donnie.
So this is a motion to approve the resolution by Sam Couchman and seconded by Donald Wharton. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. So that is approved. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
Moving to item 4F, discussion and potential action to approve first reading of ordinance number 2021- ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, establishing the installation of stop signs at the intersections of First Street and Emma Place and First Street and Lena Place. This will be presented by our police commander, Brett Hauser. Backup is on pages 50 through 53. Mr. Hauser, good evening.
Great. Thank you, Mayor, City Council members. So we received multiple complaints and observations in this general area of First Street. As you know, that particular development is growing, and as different phases of that community grow, traffic grows with it. And I think we're at that place now where we reevaluated where we're at, and especially with the future plans with Wildcat coming in, that the stop signs are absolutely called for safety-wise. So we pulled together the Traffic Safety Committee, got input from Public Works and our engineers, who all concur this is the best move forward.
Thank you for that. So this will be the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, establishing the installation of stop signs at the intersections of First Street and Emma Place and First Street and Lena Place. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of this resolution?
Mr. Mayor, could I make a comment first?
Sure.
Regarding that, I have some complaints from other areas of the city regarding stop signs being requested, especially along the corridor near Phil Swing School and along the area related to Western Avenue. Could we take a look at that just to kind of give people an idea that we're not just looking at one area in town, that we're kind of open to suggestions? Not that stop signs are always a good thing. I'm not sure that they stop people from running the stop signs, and that sometimes they may create an additional problem for policing and also for safety. However, I would like an open opportunity for some people, if they do have complaints regarding speeding, to be able to contact the city and maybe have the traffic committee look at a couple of areas. I think one of them is near the Western Street, and then one's down by the Phil Swing area where the school is. I'm not sure we want stop signs at every intersection, but I do think that we need to take a look at some other areas of town too, where that might be a factor. And that's my only comment. I'm certainly in favor of the stop signs if necessary.
Mayor Hamby, I'm sorry to cut you off, Councilmember Couchman. Mayor Hamby, could I add a comment, please?
Sure.
And great points, Mayor Pro Tem Couchman. Commander Hauser, thank you for addressing the item. I know I've brought it up in the past with respect to speeding concerns from citizens in the area where these stop signs are going to go. And I would agree with Mayor Pro Tem Couchman in that there was a recent request to take a look at some speeding that was taking place in front of Phil Swing School. And although school's not in place now, it will be at some point in the future. And so there was a request or just a suggestion to look to see if speed bumps would be a way to address the speeding in that area. But at any rate, I just want to thank you for addressing the present item, which is the installation of the stop signs, and do want to compliment you for that. And I also would tell you that if I ever need a therapist, you really look like a therapist tonight, you know, with the background, with the books and the coat. So thank you for that as well.
Oh.
No, he looks very distinguished. Very, very distinguished.
I noticed that. Nice office.
Mayor, if I could just make just a couple comments on that. And I appreciate the feedback, and it is satisfying to be able to increase the traveling safety, especially around the schools. We have looked at Western in those intersections. And in fact, that was right after we'd had a child hit by a vehicle, and thankfully the child was okay. But we are periodically, we're going through and addressing these. We have over time and over the years. If we could, it'd be great to just change out all of the yield signs. I know some folks aren't in favor of that, but we're a growing city, and for the traveling public, I think it's important we address those. So, but thank you very much for your words.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Okay, any other comments on that before we move to approve? Okay, I'm asking for a motion to approve the first reading of this resolution.
This is George. I'll make a motion to approve the first reading.
Do you have a second?
This is Sam. I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Thank you, Commander Hauser. Moving on to item 4D.
Could I ask one question though, regarding the process of installation? Just with respect to the process of installation, maybe Commander Hauser can answer this question. And I don't know if Public Works may help, but what is the process in installing the stop signs? Because obviously they'll come up from one day to the next, but is there a process in notifying people in advance just to give some warning? That's my question.
Right. This is Guillermo or Commander Hauser are going to address the question, or I was going to say that in the past, after the approval of the second reading and the approval of the installations, probably before to install the permanent, we could install some temporary stop signs on barricades for the public to get used to the new stop signs. And maybe if available, a police car can be in the area, so they see the car and they slow down in addition to the temporary stop signs a couple of days or a week or something like that, and later on install the permanent ones.
Thank you. And it was just for safety concerns. If somebody's not used to having the stop sign, they run it, that kind of thing. So I appreciate the input. Thank you.
And any time that we've changed the traffic pattern, basically, we do allow some time for some learning. You know, I think it's really important to educate. It was quite some time ago, we changed a stop sign at the top of Plaza and by First Christian Church, and that took a lot of learning. So that yields. So.
Mayor Pro Tem Couchman is still learning the stop signs in Brawley, so he runs a lot of them.
Hey, I stop at every intersection, whether there's a stop sign there or not.
Whether or not, yeah.
Yeah, but ultimately, it's to get the folks to know there is a change there. We work with them and educate them, so it's not a light switch of enforcement. So,
thank you.
All right.
Again, my concern was more safety based. You know, people, they
need to have
collision.
Learning. They're learning.
Item 4G, discussion and potential action to adopt resolution number 2021- resolution of the City Council of the City of Brawley, California, adopting findings of fact and decision regarding appeal of CUP. Backup is on pages 54 through 60. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution, adopt this resolution?
So moved. This is Sam.
I'll second it.
Mr. Mayor, and maybe before we vote, just if I could, just for the record, I just wanted to go back and frame, because I think the last meeting where I had the opportunity to discuss my thoughts on it, and obviously the motion that didn't prevail. I just want to be clear that from the very beginning, we were never voting on approving a substance abuse clinic. That's already been in existence. I just want to clear that, because there's still some misunderstanding, maybe misinformation, but we're talking about an existing 4-year business that purchased a building known as the Factory 2U building, 80 feet away. So in my mind, I kind of felt like we were voting on the potential of a significant improvement to a building that's been a longstanding eyesore. But I just want to be clear, This is an existing business, been there 4 years. That's not the topic of what we're voting on. The CUP is to allow this operation to move 80 feet to the west and continue doing the work they're doing, albeit to whatever level of increased audience or customers that the service would be serving. But I just wanted to be clear, we were never voting on having a substance abuse clinic, counseling or a clinic downtown that already exists. So I just wanted to state that for the record for clarity.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could just add that, and I think Councilmember Wharton stated it very well, so I won't restate the issue. But again, it is an existing business. We were voting to see if we would allow them to operate in a building that they now own. And you know, this item here on the agenda is just to finalize that vote that took place at our previous meeting. And I still feel the same way with respect to that particular business. I'm supportive of business. I want to see them develop, you know, and of course there are concerns with that business. I think some of them were unfounded, and I do believe that they've been quietly operating successfully at their location. But you know, Councilmember Wharton did state the item very clearly, and I'm in agreement. So, and I know there's a motion and a second to approve the item. So,
Mr. Mayor, if I could make a few comments, and I actually wrote them down that way I don't get long-winded, but you know, I took a beating over this, and you guys are used to this kind of criticism. I'm new to it. So I just want to address, you know, the concerns from the community. You know, I asked several key questions, and I'll just read off my notes here, and relied on information from the 2 previous meetings to get a full understanding of what was before me. I asked Dr. Hoyt if her business in its current form would be affected. Her answer that was that business will continue as usual. So that didn't bother me anymore. I asked if any new employment opportunities would be created. Dr. Hoyt's response was that she wishes she could, but no. So I immediately came to the conclusion that there was no net gain for the city, one empty building for another. No new employment opportunities, increased operations with the same amount of employees to maximize profit, no guarantees that the business would not distribute medication in the future, and no exact figures on how many patients would access services on a daily basis. Would that depend on how many contracts Dr. Hoyt can secure? Only a third of the building was scheduled for improvement, which meant that the clinic had sufficient space to expand in case the clinic managed to secure more federal, state, and county contracts, further increasing the traffic of the patients in our downtown. But the most crucial comment came from the first meeting that was held, you know, when this CUP came up. There was a comment where they stated that it was important for the community to see that we had a drug problem. And that, you know, I immediately put myself in the shoes of the patient. Drug addiction has a stigma attached to it, which prevents many drug addicts from coming forward and seeking help. If an individual is suffering from drug addiction and is still managing to somehow keep it together but needs help, the last thing anyone would want is to be exposed and their privacy invaded. So I personally, if I was seeking help, I would not seek help in a building that is front and center where everyone can see me accessing those services. Who do you ask would then seek Dr. Hoyt's services in Brawley's downtown? Only those who are mandated by a court order, and this center will not truly be a place where any individual can seek help. Those are my thoughts, and I just want the community to know where I'm coming from with this. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Costa.
Mr. Mayor, I want to further comment on.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, I do too.
Yeah, just once again, to be clear, I think I heard Councilmember Castro say no net gain. I think an improvement to the number one complaint since I've been on council has been continuously downtown. And the improvements that have been made, you know, certainly by the businesses that have taken up their businesses downtown and improved the aesthetics have been very welcomed. So we're right at the core of the 500 block to take the Factory 2U building, make an investment, aesthetically improve it. I think we had the ability to include that in the CUP. To me, was an exciting prospect. So I wouldn't say it wasn't a no net gain. Outside of that, in terms of seeking the services, they have been there serving this constituency, if you will, for 4 years. It's no different. We're just moving 80 feet to the west, maybe a larger of volume. So whatever that, that needs going to be filled one way or the other, right? And those customers exist in the community. So again, I'm not debating. I just wanted to clarify this was never about I think initially when it was talked about, administering medications, concern about those customers or that clientele maybe hanging out in mass downtown. It's already there. It's been there quietly operating for 4 years. That's the only thing I wanted to clarify. I'm only going by the facts of what has happened over the last 4 years. If I'm incorrect about that, I was wide open to listening. So I just want to be clear on that the CUP issue was to allow or disallow this existing business to move or not move. That's all I wanted to make clear.
And that's a good point. If I could add to that as well, with respect to a net gain, we're ultimately going to have likely a net loss, because what more than likely will happen, and this is just my own speculation, is that just move to an area that's outside the downtown specific plan area, do what you had planned on doing. Now you have multiple empty buildings instead of just one. So that's likely what's going to happen in this case. And so, it's just another empty building. I do wish that, when we're looking to support downtown improvement, we all know that it's not just anybody that's going down there. It is challenging to make a business work out. There's a big improvement. It's a big expense. So, I just want to be supportive of business. And as I mentioned previously, the same sort of comments when churches have been located in downtown, Victory Outreach as an example, or when thrift stores have been located in downtown, when there's arguments against those as well. And so it's not a place for everybody, just like this treatment center isn't a place for everybody. However, obviously they're addressing a concern and a clientele. And at any rate, those are my points. I know this is a separate discussion. It is now to adopt the resolution. That is the matter at hand. And I do believe we need to have findings of fact. So I'm not sure if those have been stated or not, but they need to be stated.
Yeah, no, and I did. I did take what everyone said into consideration. I'm looking forward here 5-10 years, and again, like I said, there weren't any guarantees as to how this business was going to develop, and so it was pretty obvious that this is, they're going after federal contracts, state contracts, and I wasn't so sure that this was something that's going to be a benefit to the community as a whole. So to me, in my opinion, I didn't see the benefit. If we have the option, and we like you guys said last time, we rarely have the option to approve or deny. So why not take advantage of the opportunity? And I was just thinking long term, and I could be wrong, but at this point, we'll never know.
Yeah, and I would like to clarify. I think Mr. Wharton said that CUP was to approve or deny a business, her being able to move her business to this new location. But from my understanding, the CUP was just to be able to increase the level of business she was doing. We're not prohibiting her from moving to her new building. She's able to do that. It's her property, but it's just the CUP was to approve a higher amount of business or higher level of business. So
I said that too.
That's the only thing that was
I said that too.
What's that?
I stated that as well.
All right.
I did. Yeah.
I misunderstood. I thought you were saying that we were in the CUP, we were approving or denying her ability to move to this new location. But
well, they're not mutually exclusive, right? I mean, you can't have one without the other in her case.
It's based on her, her business model. If it's not profitable to move into that building and conduct business at the current level, then that's, that is a decision that she will have to make for herself. But we're not able to.
Mr. Mayor, that I've got to jump in. That's not what that CUP was. She cannot, if without the CUP, she cannot conduct the business she conducts in that building. Mm. So absolutely. She can't, it's incorrect to say that she could move over there and keep the practice at its current level. That's absolutely not correct.
Okay.
Right.
I guess I was looking at some prior information, some prior communication in which with the former city manager, she said that you know, even if the CUP were not approved, she would still improve the building and plan to move into it and conduct business there. So
she can't move the current business in there and conduct that type of business. She can conduct any type of business that she wants that's within the liability of that section of town. But that does not mean she can move that building and start expanding into that building with her existing program. She can stay where she's at. There's nothing that precludes her from staying in the current facility that she's in. And because we have really no say over that at this point in time. However, my understanding is she is not allowed to go in there and conduct the same or an expected level of business to what she's currently conducting. So
that business is not allowed by right? Is that what you're saying, Bill?
By CUP, it's not allowed unless we grant a CUP. No one can take that business into any of those facilities downtown, is my understanding. That type of facility.
So that would mean that she has a current CUP to conduct business as she does now.
Correct.
Is that true? She has a CUP for what she does?
She does not have a CUP then. City manager shaking his head.
By right from being able to conduct that business in her new location?
No.
It goes by like what we kind of go back to here, the level of service that's provided. As opposed to the small groups and one-on-one that she's doing and the greater volume she's wanting. And I want to address Mr. Castro's comments too. No, she's not guaranteeing any further employment at this time, but if she does get more contracts and she does have a larger clientele, she will have to hire more employees. You know, just like when your business expands, you have to hire more people for it. So that is incorrect. Also, I don't think it's correct to say that people won't go there because it's stigmatized. That's in my mind very discriminatory and segregationalist to say that, because a person like Gil Rebriar, who actually was at the meeting, who admits that he went to treatment. And
Rebriar got treatment in a very expensive facility.
It doesn't matter because he could afford it, right? But what about the people who can't? If they can't, they're still going to go there if they want to get better. And it's just providing that opportunity for those.
I'm going to call for the question. I'm calling for the question, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so
let's have the vote.
Seconded. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed or abstentions?
Wait. Can you repeat I'm sorry. Repeat what we're voting on.
It's been moved by Councilman Couchman and seconded by myself to approve adopting the findings of fact and decision regarding the appeal of the CUP. So obviously we're not changing any decisions that were made. The decision has been made. This is just simply part of the procedure. It has to be into the record.
Mr. Mayor, what are the findings for the record? The findings that prevented this from moving forward. What are the findings?
On pages 54 through 60.
Mayor, if I may, Councilmember Nava, on page 55 of your packet, is and about the middle down on that page are the actual findings that are on this resolution. And if there are any findings that council would like to add or take out, they can amend this resolution. Is that right, Bill?
Yes, that's correct. Those are findings that I suggested based on the testimony that was presented and the comments that were made. I rewatched the video to come up with those findings.
Okay. Do you want me to read those into the record?
I'd be happy to do what I have
findings into the record. I would.
Okay.
And I would just say that the findings are inconsistent with my own thoughts as well. So, but again, I'm one council member.
Okay, I'll read them in, and then if we need to discuss, we will. The City Council hereby adopts the following findings of fact. A, the proposed substance abuse treatment center is proposing to hold group therapy at the location. B, the proposed location is in the heart of downtown. C, while the services are needed in Brawley, there are significant community objections to expanding the services to a retail location. D, the proposed use would be incompatible with existing business in the area. E, the location is the civic and cultural heart of the community. And F, the proposed expanded treatment center is inconsistent with the city's planned revitalization of the downtown area. Those are the findings based on Bill's view of the previous council meeting. I would still like some clarification. I asked a question. If she's not allowed by right to conduct business at the level that she's conducting it now, that would require a CUP. Is that incorrect, Bill?
I believe she needs a CUP to conduct a medical clinic. Gordon would be able to give you the definition of what a medical clinic is. Maybe I misunderstand. Maybe the level she's performing at her current location doesn't meet that definition.
She doesn't have a current CUP. Is that correct?
No, that's correct, because it's considered a medical office as opposed to a clinic. A clinic is one where you'll have multiple doctors or counselors and doing the same thing at one time. There, they usually only have one person doing either a small group or one-on-ones.
So what would preclude her from moving to this new location and conducting the same type and level of business that she's doing now?
Well, I guess not. I mean, I guess if she took basically the same square footage that she's doing now, and she wanted to divide up the building and have another part be retail or a restaurant or something, maybe she could. But we'd obviously have to see that plan to see that she's still going to be doing exactly what she's doing right now.
Okay. I just want to clarify the point that I'm trying to make, which is that the CUP that we denied does not also deny her from being able to conduct that same business in her new location. Bill is of the opinion that it does. I was not of that impression as I sat through the Planning Commission meetings and read the CUP in front of me.
Right. Yeah,
I was under that impression.
Yeah, it is that threshold. So yeah, I think if she keeps it as by definition a medical office, yeah, she probably could still do it there. I mean, that's just my opinion too. But like I said, I'll defer to Bill for.
Well, I defer to you, Gordon, because you're the expert on planning.
Okay. Well, I would think so. I would think if she has the same level of service that she has right now, and she's doing exactly what she is right now with the number of staff that she has and the number of patients that she has, yes, she would be allowed to do it there. Her whole thing and her whole reason for buying this property was because she wanted to expand in anticipation for future additional contracts and hiring more counselors to perform this activity.
Yeah,
I misunderstood.
Okay.
That's my understanding of it. So Bill, I don't know if the findings need to be revised at all, because what it sounds like in the findings is that we're saying this business is prohibited in this block or in this building, when in fact my understanding of the CUP is that it was simply because she was not allowed by right to conduct the type and level of business that she was asking to conduct. But because she's in business now, it's not that it's grandfathered in or something. It's because she's allowed by right to conduct that kind of business at that level. So
that's not what I understood. That's not what I understood. So the reason I understood she was moving, and I read through the backup material, was because it would be no longer classified, and correct me if I'm wrong, as a medical facility, but it would be a clinic. So a clinic categorizes higher volume, right? And that is the reason that she was moving to a different location. So I'm not sure if, considering what's being said, that she would be able to conduct this proposed business in her current location with higher volume.
Right, that's correct.
Because it wouldn't be compatible with what she's currently approved to do.
Yeah. No, if she wanted to do the same thing that she was requesting to do at this new location, at her existing location, she would have had to get a CUP for that. Okay. But she doesn't have the room to, she doesn't have the room to do that. It's not physically viable. That's why she was looking for a new location.
Okay, there's some confusion here now. So
my point is that she is allowed by right without a CUP to conduct the business that she's conducting. Is that correct?
The current business.
Yes, exactly.
The current business, though, Mayor Hamby, the current business. So not the proposed business, which was the higher volume.
My point.
Correct.
Is we did not prohibit her from moving that exact business to this new location. What we prohibited was increasing the volume of business or changing the description of what she's doing now that she's allowed to by right. I just want to drive that point home.
Yes, that sounds right to me. Yeah.
But it's unlikely, based on what we're saying today, right? And what's been decided previously, it's unlikely that she would move to that location to continue with the business that she's doing currently. There's no point in doing that at that.
Understand that. May not make
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could see, the only reason I could see she would do that maybe because remember right now she's leasing. So if she purchased that building and if she can get another tenant or tenants that would fill up some of the other space, and she doesn't desire to expand anymore, then it's possible.
It is, but at this point too, we've gotten way off track. Now we're making decisions
for
business owners, and we're telling them what they should be leasing things out to. It's just like that gets so muddled, and we really need to focus. And not a criticism of the conversation just now, but this entire process. We've been wanting to decide what's best for her, and that's just we're not the business people in that case.
Those are her decisions. She has to make those decisions within the statutes that she deals with. That's all.
My intention is just to clarify. My understanding of the CUP was that we were allowing her to conduct a higher level of business or change what she's doing. From my understanding of the CUP and all the meetings I sat in, she's perfectly capable and allowed to move into her new building that she purchased, that she owns, and conduct that same exact business there without a CUP. And I think that that's germane to the conversation and to the findings, Bill. So I don't know if that's it's important enough to add, but she's allowed and by right to conduct that same business in her new building if she chose to do that. It may not make sense for her, and I'm not trying to say it will, but I'm just saying the CUP does not prohibit her, or her current right to do business doesn't prohibit her from moving to that new building.
Is that correct, Gordon? Is that the zoning correct where she would be able to?
They're both the same zone. Okay. So yes. So as long as, like I said, the scope of her business remains the same, she should be able to do it anywhere in that same zone downtown.
Would she?
Like I said, once that threshold is met, where it becomes, by definition, a clinic as opposed to a medical office, a doctor's office, then that's what triggers the CUP. And that's why we had to go through this process, because she was planning on hiring more staff to do more therapy and counseling.
I think the way it's written here, somebody could make the argument preventing her from doing what Mayor Hamby is saying. So I think it does need further clarification.
Maybe what we could do is change the first wording on number 1A to the proposed substance abuse treatment clinic rather than center is proposing to hold group therapy in the location. She's not supposedly a clinic at the present time. She's a doctor's office or medical office.
Yes.
Maybe that solves the problem right there. The change of that one word.
But she does hold group therapy is what she said. It just maybe not at the threshold that is required to be a clinic. But
she's not considered a clinic.
Right. A clinic has multiple doctors or clinicians.
Understood. But the way it's written, I'm saying the way it's written, somebody could make the argument that no, if this is decided for by the city council, this would essentially prevent her from moving forward. Just the way it's written.
Right. I agree. And that's why I'm saying, Bill, perhaps we should have another subparagraph in there that just spells out that, she's entitled by right to conduct business at the level that she's conducting it now in her new location.
That's okay with me too.
From doing
okay, so the motion, if someone would care to amend the motion to add that an additional finding G, and then make the amendment proposed by Mr. Nava to subparagraph A, then I'll take care of that.
Okay, Sam, would you like to update?
I'll amend my motion to take care of that issue and add the subparagraph G to that, to the to section number 1.
Okay, and I'll second that.
Had there been a vote on this item already?
No, we had not got.
Didn't complete it.
We were in the middle of a vote.
Yes,
so I believe we had.
Yes, we were.
Okay.
I'm amending my motion though.
Or retract it.
I'll retract it and amend it.
Okay, so we'll try it again.
And I had already voted against the item, so.
I hadn't heard a nay from anyone. I think we got through the ayes and didn't get to the nays.
That's correct, I think.
I interrupted, as you guys said, ayes, because just of the wording, and I was a little confused as to exactly, what we were voting on and needed clarification. So.
All right. So with the clarification, Sam has retracted his original motion. Are you submitting a new motion?
I'm making a new motion with the addition of section G, which indicates that she could move her business as it currently exists without any expansion or anything into the new location if she so desires, but that's her decision as a business person. So.
Okay. And I will second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions?
Nay. I'm in opposition.
That was 2 nays, Wharton and Nava. Okay. The item passes with a 3-2 vote. I think the public can see, anyone that's watching, that this is it's a difficult issue, and I think every one of us is torn on it. We see the pros and cons, but as Mr. Castro has stated, we have to vote what our conscience tells us to vote, or what we think is going to be the best idea or the best solution for the city. And it's not that we're against business by any means. Those of us that had voted to deny the CUP, but I did feel it was important to clarify that we're not prohibiting Dr. Hoyt from moving her operation to her new location at the level that she's conducting it now. So with that, we will move on to item 5. This is an informational item. This is just a record of building permits for November 2020 in the city of Brawley, prepared by Oscar Escalante, interim building official. The backup is on page 61 for your viewing pleasure. We'll move on to item 6, departmental reports. 6A, monthly staffing report for January 2021, prepared by Personnel and Risk Management Administrator Shirley Bonias. Backup is on page 62. Shirley.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, on page 62 is a report, just as an update. We're down to 1 vacancy as a police officer. Right. Yay, we got a new chief. We're down to 1 vacancy. So yes, that's a long hurdle to hop over. So we're happy to report that, and recruitment is ongoing for the library manager as well as the Parks and Recreation manager. So of course, I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
No questions.
Thank you, Shirley.
You're welcome.
The update on emergency construction project at the Brawley Water Treatment Plant to replace components of 2 sedimentation basins, to be presented by Public Works Director Guillermo Sillas.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the Council. Guillermo Sillas, Public Works Director. Regarding this project, for the punch list items on the sedimentation basins, these items or the punch list has not been completed by the contractor, and he completed, however, the both items on the change order. We are working together with the city manager and the city attorney to try to find a solution to complete this project, because it's been delayed by the contractor completing these minor punch list items. So we wanted to close it as soon as possible and move forward with some other projects. Any questions?
No. Okay. Glad to get that on the agenda in the future.
Okay, regarding the other project, the emergency construction project, the water treatment plant for the distribution pumps, electrical separation, These pumps, the electrical connections, it is in progress, and it should be completed by the end of this week. The new electrical components have been installed and only is pending to remove the unnecessary electrical components that are on the electrical panel that are not being in use anymore. Any questions that you have there? Thank you.
Moving on to item 7, City Council member reports. I'll start with Councilman Wharton.
I guess my only comment I know is, well, we begin with Happy New Year to everyone, and I hope everyone had as safe a holiday as possible. But with that, I know there's more and more with the numbers that Chief York shared that this disease is clearly continuing to hit home and seemingly even closer. So I just want to let everyone know, certainly myself, and I'm sure as the rest of council and all of us, our hearts and community are with you, and certainly feel fortunate that we have the frontline folks that we do have. So I wanted to start off the new year in hopes that we can get our hands around this thing with vaccine and other things that are coming up in the horizon. But I ask everyone to stay as safe and healthy as possible. Other than that, Mr. Mayor, just enjoyed the holidays, staying pretty hunkered down. So it was definitely different. And I'll echo some of the conversations that might come up about the fireworks. And I think there was already plenty of ample discussion on that. I'll just throw out one comment on that. We have raised what was the original $500 fine to $1,000. Maybe that's not enough. Maybe we need to do other things, I think. But I think having our new police chief on board is a great opportunity to maybe even consider future discussions. So I'll ask our city manager, to consider maybe helping to facilitate some of those discussions and solutions in the future between council and staff. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Next we go to Councilman Castro.
Yes, sir. That was a very quiet New Year's Eve and day. Usually that's the day when my wife and I go and celebrate the long, hard year that we always have. But this year we stayed at home, very quiet. I would urge the public to be patient, to follow all procedures, all safety guidelines, stop the meetings. I mean, look at what's happening. The numbers that are being published are scary. And if we just get through this just in a few more months and get those vaccines out to the majority of the population, or at least those who are vulnerable, we can come back to some sort of normalcy soon enough. Just please be patient. And I really, my condolences to Mayor Pro Tem Couchman, who just lost someone. And as you guys know, we've all been affected by it. So please be patient, work with us, work with each other, and we'll get through this soon enough. Besides that, Happy New Year to everyone. And let's hope that by next year, we're singing a different song, different tune. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Castro. Councilman Nava.
Well, everyone, Happy New Year. I hope you were able to enjoy that time with your family. And I'm hoping everybody stayed safe. I know I hunkered down and just laid very low, and I have been. So I hope everybody else is doing the same. Just a comment regarding the fireworks. It's been an issue, especially over the past 3 or 4 years, gotten even worse, And when I first came on council, even safe and sane fireworks were not legal within the city. And I was a proponent of making them legal. I always thought it was un-American not to have fireworks, but and I still feel that way. But the problem we've had is with the illegal fireworks going off everywhere. And so I know we've addressed it recently, but we need to take another hard look to see what we can do to maybe, and some of the suggested items from Mayor Pro Tem Couchman and others on council, I think would be, a good way to approach. And I know Councilmember Wharton, for example, is brought some things up to me with respect to maybe having a neighborhood watch type of committee, if you will, maybe address that or whatever it is, right? But let's maybe refocus on that item in the future. So, you know, it's just terrible that some people do fire off quite a bit. I had one, not this year, but last year, fly into my backyard and it exploded on the ground. And I'll tell you, it was pretty frightening. And so not just that, but there's that potential for, you know, fire hazards. I know we've had some structure fires because of fireworks. So anyway, I could go on all night. I do want to let you know, I want to let my fellow council members know, and the public as well, because they're watching, that I was appointed to via ICTC to a SCAG committee. It's a SCAG committee appointment. So I'll be representing my fellow council members and the Imperial County. It's on a community economic and human development committee. And so that starts up on Thursday. It's going to be remote for the time being, but you know, it's a great appointment for us as a whole. And I'll be bringing back what I learned to the city of Brawley and to my fellow council members. I also was asked to see if I could fill an appointment for the California League of Cities. It's for the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee. It's for the Imperial County Division. So if I'm able to be appointed to that, that would be great as well. Housing and economic development are my strong suits, and I do enjoy that. So anyway, whatever it may be, I'll do my very best to bring good information to the city council and to the city. And do want to thank staff for all the work that they've done. It's a brand new year. Let's be excited about it. I know we've had some recent leadership changes with city manager, new police chief, and there's some positions that we're hiring for right now. So I'm excited about the changes that are up and coming and that we're moving through right now. So I think the public, you know, as Councilmember Castro stated, you know, we just need your patience. Just please be patient as we all of us are impacted somehow as we all move through COVID, and let's just try to be as safe as possible and not overburden our hospitals, you know, because of carelessness. So, or it's not always carelessness. I shouldn't state it that way, but of course, you know, anything we can do to prevent the spread and transmission of COVID, let's please make sure and do those things. So again, thank you all very much. And those are my comments. Thank you. I know they were a little long, but I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Councilman Nava. Mayor Pro Tem Couchman.
Yes, I'm hoping that the new year will be a better year, and I'm hoping that things happen with COVID and the vaccinations that are coming, that we're able to get back to some form of normalcy by, say, the spring or summer. And I think it's going to take that long, but hopefully this year will be better than this previous year. I will say that I did hunker down for New Year's. We did not have our usual get-togethers. My wife and I stayed home through the New Year holiday. We did lose a family member. My wife's sister took COVID in the Yuma area, and so that has impacted our family. And certainly, we've lost some other people in the area of Brawley, the longtime residents of Brawley, and I'm concerned about that and just asking everybody safe out there. As regards to the fireworks issue, I agree with the council. We need to have some discussions on that. I provided our city attorney with some ideas that I want him to check on as to see whether they would be viable for us to maybe, for the council to discuss for viability in the future. I'm only one council member. I don't make the decisions for the entire council. There are some things I think we could do, such as raise the fines, possibly the neighborhood watch issue or neighborhood patrol issue is maybe a good one. Maybe with the increase in the fines, we may even go to new technology to try to identify where these are occurring. Can we find the address versus the individual that's sliding them? Can we put the fine on the address where it's coming from? A lot of different things like that. I'm all for safe and sane fireworks. I've always been a fireworks kind of advocate in that way, but these illegals going off for 3 weeks before the holiday and 3 weeks after the holiday are too much. And when you go out and set them off, I don't think the general public and maybe some of the people that are doing this understand the ramifications of that. It affects our veterans with PTSD. It affects small children and scares them. It scares the animals and pets and everything around the city, and many of them are lost in the process. The animals like dogs and cats and other animals. And so I think people need to have a new awareness of that. And I would hope that people do take that into consideration in the future and stop. I think we expect certain amounts of fireworks for 4th of July and New Year's Eve. but we do not expect the level that we're having here in our city and other cities throughout the valley. So hopefully we can discuss this issue and come to some way to at least dampen this down a bit here in the city, because I think that's important for us as a town. And I think people are getting more and more frustrated with it. With that said, I would like to say that I did call the police department on New Year's regarding some noise in my neighborhood, and they resolved that issue, and I'm appreciative of that. And their people were professional when they answered the phone, and they handled the situation as best as I think they could within the timeframes that they have and the issues that were ongoing at the time. So thank you for that, and that's all I really have to report. Thank you very much.
Mayor Pro Tem Couchman, was that your alibi by calling in? They wouldn't.
Yeah, that was one of my one of my alibis. Yes. Right. Yeah, that was one of them.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Couchman. And my condolences to Wanda and your family. That's
thank you very much.
Situation. Beyond the calls about fireworks that everyone else got, you know, they were certainly all around, and I'm sure an aerial view would have been pretty spectacular at midnight on New Year's Eve. I have gotten some email communication from a new organization, Familia del Valle, that deals with what they call the unhoused or homeless issue, and wanting to make contact with the city manager and council and law enforcement and different agencies that they can work with to try to help in that situation. So we'll be putting together a meeting to start those talks. I also had the opportunity to ride horseback with the Border Patrol up in the hill close by here, and got to ride alongside Dr. Adolph Edward, and we spoke a little bit about COVID and the vaccine coming out, and we wore masks, but we weren't terribly socially distanced because some of those horses wanted to be right next to each other. So I didn't get thrown or fall off or anything like that. So
did you make any arrests? Or?
No, they didn't take us to any active areas. They made us go the other way. So we didn't get to see any action or see them in action, but it was a very educational event. And I appreciate the Border Patrol reaching out to the press and to different cities to get people to ride along with them and see what it is they do out there. The horses that they have are currently corralled here right outside of Brawley off of Brant Road. So they come through Brawley every day. You'll see their dually trucks coming through Brawley. They ride at night, and so then the horses can recuperate during the day. So anyway, that's all I have to report. Wish you all a happy new year. Hope everyone's holidays were good. I don't know if Chief Duran is on deck and can hear me, but Chief, if you're available and would like to say a few words, we welcome you to the police department and to the city of Brawley.
Yes, definitely. Something I would like to say, if it's important to our community, it's important to me, it's important to our department. Nothing's too small, nothing's too big. And I know that one of the issues right now is fireworks. And believe it or not, we are working on some of the things that not only are going to address fireworks, but it's going to address other issues that we have in our community. You know, some of the things that Mr. Couchman talked about, like drones, we're actually already proactively working on seeing how we're going to be able to get or launch our drone program. So I'm glad that some of you are already seeing that technology is the way. I happen to be a firm believer in technology, and a drone program is not only going to help us in this type of environment. I don't know if you guys are aware, but the city of Rialto actually did this. They actually enforced fireworks with drones, and from what I gather, they were pretty successful. So that's something that is definitely one of the applications. Safety for officers is definitely going to be another one. Volunteer services, for me, they're very important, especially in situations like this. I'm going to see if we can develop a citizens on patrol program. That's what I believe this is where we need to go. And of course, increase our reserve officer numbers. That's one of the things that I have valued throughout my career is volunteer services, because I know they can be a very important asset to any police organization. And I think we can definitely launch something like that here in the city. Unfortunately, right now with COVID, of course, it's very hard to organize something like this, to get, the people involved, and because it does take a lot of legwork, to get our volunteer services moving. But I'm hoping that as this, hopefully COVID will wind out in the near future, we are going to be able to get these things in motion. But I definitely believe that technology is going to play an important part as far as how we deal with some of our issues here. Our men and women here in the police department are doing an awesome job. Today I went on patrol with them just to assess some of the issues that I've been seeing out there. And they're definitely doing whatever they can with what we have. So I'm very proud of what I'm seeing here. And I think everybody should be proud of our law enforcement agency.
Chief Duran, this is Councilmember Nava. Great job on that. I appreciate the report and the comments. We should have opened with you. That would have made everything more interesting. But no, I'm glad that it sounds like you even took some notes there. So I appreciate the input, and welcome aboard. I know that we've talked previously, but I think the public gets to see you in action and seeing that you're going to make a positive impact on our community. So great job. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for your words, and we welcome you on board, and we're looking forward to some positive changes and continued growth. It was a good report and update from Shirley as well, that we're almost fully staffed over there at PD. So that's a good.
Thank you. Yeah, that was good news today.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8, city manager report. Tyler?
Nothing at this time, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Item 9, city attorney report.
Yes, I did speak to Mr. Couchman earlier about the fireworks issue, and I have personal experience chasing fireworks many 4th of Julys with the Calipatria Police Department. Very difficult to do in a marked police car. So I agree with Chief that volunteer patrols are going to be a key to catching people doing this. It's a misdemeanor. It has to occur in the presence of someone who's willing to sign a citizen's arrest form. So it's going to take effort, but it is a problem. I know my wife called the police about it right before Christmas as well. I'm a little hard of hearing, so I don't hear it as bad, but my wife sure does. But I'm sure we've got to get the message out that this isn't, otherwise I can foresee the council banning all fireworks, and then they'll be mad about that. So anyway, that's my report.
You chalk this up to, this is why we can't have nice things, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We'll have to go Old West style and deputize a bunch of people to drive around the city for all these holidays. But anymore, it's, between holidays, people just, this year has been
all year. Yeah.
And I've seen videos from other cities as well around the world, just increased fireworks. It's just, I don't know, everybody's tired of being cooped up at home or something and spinning.
They haven't gone to SeaWorld or to Disneyland in a long time. They need to see a show or something.
Yeah, Alma was telling me that her grandson saw the fireworks New Year's Eve, and he said something about Mickey Mouse because that's what he's used to seeing, those big fireworks shows at Disneyland. So that's.
I thought somebody was graduating. I thought it was a graduation.
Football. Somebody got a touchdown all night long. Okay, item 10, city clerk report.
Nothing to report.
Sorry, I stole your thunder there, Alma.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, well then that wraps up this meeting. I'll adjourn our meeting, and the next regular meeting will be Tuesday, January 19th at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Be safe.
Thank you. You too, everybody.